This is our general, what we're talking about today. I don't know why I struggled with that sentence. Here is table of contents. That is also not the word I was looking for. So we're going to talk to Colfax Avenue bid. We're going to have construction updates. We have Grace Ramirez here from Excel, and then we'll walk through DIDO opportunities and the grants that are becoming available. And then last, but certainly not least, we'll talk about a couple of ideas, and we'd love for you to share some of your experiences in this area, specifically about business collaborations, how to communicate, how to collaborate, but then also potential ideas for how to communicate back to the community. So one of those things is what we call a hard hat special, and you probably know what that is, but it is important to realize that you may have access to a whole slew of new customers in the construction and project team, and we would love to connect to find out ways that we can augment those specials, but also maybe support you in getting the word out about that. So I'm gonna come back towards at the end. Oh, here's our partners. And Danon. Oh, there you are. I love the light in here. Like, you're so shiny today. You're always shiny.
Good.
But would you come up here and introduce yourself?
I've been boots on the ground. For those of you that are just getting familiar with what is happening and all the different organizations involved, Colfax Business Improvement District, we are here as a resource for our businesses from Grant Street to Josephine. We are paid through a property tax assessment, so our services are free for you to use. We are community connectors. Our primary goal is to support businesses and make sure you stay in business. We don't have all the answers for you, but I assure you, if you call me, I will do my very best to connect you with the appropriate resource. As far as updates from the bid, nothing much has changed since the last time we all got together, except in anticipation of the grant applications opening. I do have office hours to try and meet the demands of everyone's schedules. So I believe it's the second Thursday of every month, I will be at Doppio Coffee for 3 hours from 9 a.m. to noon with open office hours. You don't have to call me and let me know you're coming. I'll be there. You can find me. I'd be happy to answer and help answer your questions and help in any way. It doesn't have to be about the grant when that becomes available, but it can be about anything business related, neighborhood related, safety, programs, events, whatever. And then the other office hours that I do have are virtual office hours the fourth Wednesday of the month from, I think I have that scheduled from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. All you have to do is make an appointment with me. We can call each other. You can come to my office and see me. We're right here at Lafayette and Colfax. We're very accessible, or we can Zoom if you prefer to Zoom. But I invite you. I'm a resource. I might be able to know the right person to direct your thought and concern to. So to get a hold of me on your way out today, my business card is on the reception table, so grab that. It's got all my contact info. But beyond that, I would say that our whole team, we are a team of 3. My focus is business support. My colleague Mitch, his focus is street maintenance and safety. And then Frank, our executive director, oversees everything and is an absolute amazing connector for our community as a whole.
I'm going to invite up Grace Ramirez from Excel Energy.
Hi everyone. Again, Grace Lopez Ramirez. I'm the area manager for the City and County of Denver for Excel. I do local government and community affairs for the 78 neighborhoods of the City and County of Denver. So thank you so much for having me. This is my first time at Chats on Colfax. We're gonna, I think, skip ahead. Let's get past this one. We have a lot of customers in Colorado. Why is Excel Energy here? We are here because of our partnership with the City and County of Denver. As part of our partnership with the city to be in the right-of-way, to have our infrastructure in the right-of-way, it's called a franchise agreement. We partner with the City and County of Denver on any of their public projects. So what that really means for this project is that we relocate our infrastructure that we have under the street and under the sidewalk so that the city's construction crew can come in and do whatever public project that is. So for this project, we're really working through contractors to relocate our existing Xcel Energy infrastructure in the what we call the right of way, right? So the streets and sidewalks that are public property. We are a longtime advocate of a cleaner environment, and this type of project is something that we're really happy to support with the City and County of Denver. A little bit more about our franchise, just because that is the reason why we're in the street and why we're here today. So our franchise does a lot for the City and County of Denver. It's a really symbiotic relationship we have with the City and County of Denver. And essentially a franchise agreement is our contract for us to share that right-of-way space, that public space. And there's quite a few benefits the city gets from this relationship. One of them is that we do relocate at our cost every time they ask us to. So we've done it obviously now for the Colfax Business BRT. We've also done it for 16th Street Mall and pretty much any public project that you can imagine. Both Denver Water and Xcel Energy relocate our infrastructure for the city's public project. And then just one key thing to note here, that franchise also brings about $32 million a year to the city's general fund, which we wire as part of that contractual agreement, wire over to the city every year. And then the next one, just a little bit about the work that we do in our communities. We really take our role as public servants seriously. We do a lot of support of our nonprofits in the City and County of Denver, as well as a lot of volunteering. So I won't go into these slides, but just a little bit more about the contributions to our communities that we do. We can move forward. Okay. And then this is the same thing, just a little bit about our giving campaign, our volunteerism that we do in the city. If you have some projects in the neighborhood that you're interested in having our volunteers come help with, we do volunteer projects pretty much 7 days a week. It's kind of hard to recruit volunteers sometimes on a Sunday, but please let us know. My colleague Daniel Venegas will be staying for the entire event. Unfortunately, I have to head off to another meeting, but we do have some handouts that have my contact information on them, as well as summarize this PowerPoint. And we also have some light bulbs and other little freebies if you'd like to grab one. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So because you're working in conjunction, a lot of, we'll see Xcel regularly on.
So we're working with 3 to 4 different contractors throughout the length of this project. And we are, so they might not be branded Xcel Energy because they're not direct employees of Xcel, they're contractors of Xcel. So yes, we will be just ahead of the construction, but behind Denver Water as we move block by block towards I-225.
So is it fair to say Denver Water is moving down and then you will, and then Kramer's construction will come for the rest of it, so it's sequenced? Ideally,
but I know that that didn't quite start off that way at the beginning, so right now we're kind of in the same space as Kramer, I believe. But yes. Okay. Typically that's how it works.
Great.
Denver Water, then Xcel, and then the construction company.
And that's actually a great segue, because then we can bring the construction PI folks up to help kind of talk about those updates too. Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. And we'll be attending all of these as well. So.
And if there
we'll see you guys next month.
I don't want to run past it. If folks have questions for Grace before.
Oh yeah.
Either. I have questions always for everybody, but.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions for me? Okay. Oh, there's one.
Will Xcel be blocking off sidewalk access?
So I think some of the infrastructure we have to move into the sidewalk because there's no room for it in the right of way given the type of project that the city's doing. So yes, the sidewalks are public right of way, so we will be moving sidewalks. I had heard that our contractors aren't always the best at notifying when they need to open the sidewalk in front of businesses. So I have had regular communication with both Heather and Danon. We do have a standing meeting every other week to review any concerns that might be coming from our constituents, from the community. I have a direct line to the contractors, letting them know, please do not use restrooms of any of the businesses. Please notify have direct, regular communication with the businesses. So if you believe that's not happening as well as it should, feel free to take a handout and feel free to reach out to me directly. My contact info is there. I recognize this is a huge impact to the community, and we certainly don't want to be an additional hindrance to, either the project or to, your businesses. So please let me know if anything is happening that I should know about. I see Frank has his hand up.
Yeah, I think maybe part of the question, and if it's not part of your question, probably helpful to know, if you are doing work on the sidewalk, it's not going to impede entrance into people's businesses.
Right, it's not supposed to impact, I should point out that I think that potentially for some of them, it would impact their front door, right? So you can't impact all access to the business. So without going into detail.
Most of many businesses on Colfax don't have a back door. So
right.
The notification is pretty critical, and figuring out a workaround so that access to the front door isn't impeded is critical.
Correct. That should be happening. So if it isn't, please let me know. And to be frank, it's not just the city's expectations and procedures, it's itself as well. When they are contracted with us, they are required to notify and work with businesses. So I definitely want to hear if they're not, because that is a requirement of their contract with us. And that's our expectation as well, that there's clear and good communication with any impacted customers. We call them customers because in the end, all of us are customers of Xcel Energy, including myself. But yes, that is correct, and I would definitely second that.
My name is Marcy Cochran, and this is Heather Bedini, and we're with the Construction and Public Information team, so hello. And kind of to tag on to what John and Grace just said, as we got started with construction, I think you guys probably see a hard hat and a yellow vest or an orange vest, and we're all the same as you all. So hats off to Xcel Energy and Grace for jumping in as soon as we called to create that alignment with all of the people that are in Colfax and doing the work out there. So thank you, Grace, for really jumping in and preparing to be a part of Auto Chats on Colfax and regular communications. You can get a hold of Grace, you can get a hold of us. We know it's not easy. Construction isn't pretty, and it isn't fun. I think the end result is really what we're driving for, and we're looking to get in and get out as efficiently as we can. So as you'll see, if you guys have been driving the corridor, I'm going to assume everybody has, but we're in segments 1 and 2 of our plan.
You're on. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
There.
Yeah.
We got it.
So we're in segments 1 and 2 of construction. So we've got work going from Logan all the way up to Elizabeth. And Heather's going to go a little bit more detail on some of that work. But as you can see, we've got the lane configurations in place. You see the cones, barrels, etc., and the lane realignments are in place. We've got the temporary signals, trying to create some normalcy. We drive the corridor daily, as do you. We drive it at different times of night, and we're seeing that the behaviors are getting to where we want them to go. People are going slow. It might take, we're seeing maybe about 5 to 7 minutes longer down through the construction zone, which is good. We like people to slow down. I don't think anybody wants zoomies along Colfax. One of the things that we have noticed is it was part of the plan, it was to, as we put in the construction implementations, is limit parking on the streets. And we know that is a challenge to several businesses. Some don't have access to lots, or there's paved lots. Maybe there's some things on the side streets that are also difficult. So we are currently, the construction and the city team, working with the planners on the campus, what does CAMP stand for? Campus Area Parking Management? It's called the CAMP plan. Is that what it stands for? It's a parking plan. And there are some parking plans. Curbside access management plan. Parking plan. We'll just call it parking plan. There's probably a little bit more to that, but we are working with our planners and have identified several pinch points along the corridor, actually all the way up to Colorado Boulevard. And so we're looking at an opportunity to potentially pull some of those final configuration parkings on those side streets ahead sooner than originally anticipated. So as soon as we get a little more clarity and some information on that, we will be pushing that out to everybody right now. But we are looking at where we can do on some of these side streets to help alleviate some of the parking pressures and pinches. In addition, it's all in order. We're just waiting for it to be delivered. We've got some additional signage that we're gonna start installing down the corridor. We've got 12-foot, I'm like 5'9", so 12-foot flag banners that we're gonna put at different blocks, just saying businesses are open. We also have a QR code on there so folks can scan and learn more about the project. And we're working to add more project updates and different types of maps and such to the website as well. But just letting people know businesses are open. We're also getting ready to put some signage up on some of the station fencing for the businesses. I think Lifetime folks here, let's see, there's a spotlight up here. Some signage up just to let folks know that the businesses are open, the parking's on the side street, in the back, etc. So we're listening and we're learning what people are experiencing along this corridor and trying to react as best as we can while we are building. So I'm going to turn over to Heather and she can tell you a little about what we're doing and where, because as Grace had said, we've got, you all had Denver Water come ahead, Excel Energy, some other third-party contractors have come ahead a little bit. There's been some instances where Excel's taking, or in one area, and we found that maybe we can leapfrog over them, do a little bit of our enabling work over here, so that when Excel's finished, we'll come back and go forward. So we're trying to keep things efficient and honestly trying to keep things moving in the work zones that we have. Excel does work, as Grace said, in our work zones, which are your method of MHT, there's the cones and things like that. So that's why it's hard to tell who's got what hard hats or not, but our hotline, getting hold of Heather and I, doesn't matter if you don't know who they are. Obviously, if you can see a hard hat, etc., that's more helpful if you see Kramer. But we will take whatever call and work to give some of that information back and see what's going on if you guys have questions.
If folks are comfortable back there, great, but there are some seats up here. We can, if you'd like to come closer.
Right here.
Yeah.
We'll also project, we'll also keep projecting, just in case. Are we good on sound? Back, okay.
I'm told, well, I think I'm yelling, I am quiet. You just yell at me.
Food is also ready, so yeah.
What do the hash marks mean? Does that mean it's not the pre-construction work?
That was the early enabling work. Yes.
Okay, but it doesn't apply to segment.
Correct, because of kind of grant funding and when we started and some of that pre-construction, we'll only be in that phase and then everything kind of continues and follows as normal. The construction implementation. So when we were putting the cones and such in place, there was that period of pause before you saw actual work getting done. Now the work will continue with our work zone.
So I'm going to give an update of kind of what you all are seeing along Colfax right now. As she had said, we start at Broadway and we're up to Elizabeth with the lane configuration. We're started the Franklin station work, and then also we have just started this week York work. So the York station work is also happening. And then I think on February 10th, we're slated to start the Downing station. So in 3 weeks, we started 3 station work. And then at the end of February, we are looking at going down further into segment 2 up to the Garfield area for lane alignment. And when we get down there, that's where we'll start the Madison station work. And then we're actually going to go back to Penn and do that station work. So very exciting to have 5 stations going all at once and that work piece. Right now, you guys will see some work still happening past Elizabeth up to like Fillmore and Madison, and that is kind of that pre-construction. That's that Excel, gas, getting all of those kind of pieces in alignment so that we won't have the full lane alignment until closer to the end of February up to Garfield.
Other pieces that you may have already been meeting with Heather and some of the Kramer folks is that we are preparing to start do some of the tree soil work. So we do have a handout and can talk to you individually about that. But we're going out really personally to business to talk about where the tree is on your sidewalk. What does that impact look like? This has some visuals so you can kind of see what the tree work is done. We call them tree soil work, because the trees are being planted pretty deep down into the sidewalks, so the root systems are self-sustaining down there. And that way, when the roots kind of grow and the trees get bigger, they don't buckle the sidewalks. With that though, there will be sidewalk closures per area, and that's what this kind of explains. It shows what temporary access would look like to your business. So for example, on this flyer, there's a ramp that goes over our trench that takes you right into your business. And so those are things that before we even get there, we're having the conversations. This is where your primary access is. Some people have secondary access. So we talk about what is going to work best for you and your business while we're doing this work. This is a shorter duration of work as opposed to station work. But we want to have those conversations to make sure that you're having the access. Also real quick, with the majority of the tree soil work, we are not asking folks to cross across the street to get to your business. When you see some of these pieces, it's literally, you might just step off the curb, walk a couple feet over outside the work zone, come back in and over. And so we're creating some of those buffer areas. But again, those are things that we're going to discuss individually with each business so that we make sure that your access is what you need it to be. And then any supporting signage that might need to go along with that you're not seeing big fences or anything up. You're just doing some like little barriers and peaceful barriers.
I'm assuming most people probably already get our updates, but this QR code will take you right to the sign up. These come out periodically. How often do you all go out?
We're thinking monthly, but not bi-weekly. What we found over the last, really honestly 2 months is having these one-on-one business conversations with you all. So coming to your place of business and having conversations about what we're doing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing is working really well. So that's why maybe you haven't seen as many broadcast emails and such, because we're really trying to have this one-on-one conversation. It's easier than an email, right? And so we'll work on getting some of these other pieces out, but still our hotline number is on everything. If you guys don't have it, we will make sure you have it. The phone number of that hotline actually just goes to Heather and me. And we'll be able to get back to you, come down if you guys need us to, etc. So
yes, just make sure to leave a voicemail, or you can text on that number information so that we can know who's calling and get back with that quickly.
We are also putting those construction updates on the website. And so we have this, we just suggest bookmarking it, having it, and then, so if you don't use the QR code, we do have a vanity URL, easy to access. And there are separate pages for construction access. If you need larger project updates because you're trying to describe it to your customers, all that information is there. And then also the small business support page with all of the grants information and links to the application when that opens, in addition to all of these handouts that we've created with links. Between now and the next chats on Colfax, we will redo that website because now there's a lot up there, so we're just sort of reorganizing, and it will have this chats if you need the footage, so that if you need to go back and experience this again, our karaoke moment in my face, I'm sure that was delightful during that. But yeah, so website, one-stop shop.
And one more thing I'd like to point out too is, if you have customers that you're finding are confused or worried about how to get to your place, where to park, etc., give Heather and I a call. We can help create some messaging if you need a flyer or something. I know there's a dentist office that has some people coming, so we're working with them right now on kind of, when they send your appointment reminders, here's the best places to park, and here's some areas to go. So anything that we can do to help support your business with information to your customers, we're totally on board to do that. So just reach out and let us know how we can help you with that.
A lot of times we know that this is going to be very frustrating, and I don't know it personally like you do, but I do know that there are a lot of studies that suggest that when you message out a lot of negativity about what's happening, your customers hear that and actually respond to it in a negative way. I'm not saying don't vent, and of course we want you to vent to us so we can create those solutions with you, But it is like if you announce on Facebook, for example, that you don't have any parking, your customers will think that they can't get to you, and it may accidentally create an effect that you don't want. So we really want to help with that messaging, where if you'd like some help, or even if you want someone to draft it for you because you don't have time, we're doing that with several businesses already, trying to help them get people in as best and as often as possible. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Dito and talk about different types of business resources and support, as well as an update on the grant situation. So, Joanne Grieg.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joanne Grieg. I'm with Denver's Office of Economic Development and Opportunity. And does everybody remember when I-70 back in 2019 was all torn up? Well, we started a grant program back then because there were a lot of small businesses just like yours that were being impacted by that construction. And we've been very fortunate to be able to continue that program. 16th Street Mall, some West Colfax, you've probably seen the West Colfax kind of improvements that are going on, and now we'll have a similar grant program for the East Colfax BRT for the small businesses. I want to start by reminding you that preparing for construction is very important. It's not just a grant program, but preparing, coming to the chats on Colfax, talking with other businesses, trying to stay as positive as possible, at least in front of your customers. And we also have a self-assessment tool on the business support page. You can link to a self-assessment that you can just walk through a series of questions that asks you, am I ready for construction? Do I have a back door that I can tell my customers to use? Do I have the ability to send a bulk message? Can I collect information from my customers so I can send them bulk text messages saying, today they're putting in a tree. It might be a little tough to get in, but bear with us. Or maybe it's an opportunity for you to take a look at your financials and just see what kind of shape you're in for that. I don't want to put this in a negative light, but maybe it's a time when you just keep your inventory right where it's at. Maybe you keep your staffing levels right where they're at while this construction goes on. So in addition to those other supports that we'll have, there will be a grant program. We hope to open that up in a couple of weeks because you're wondering, well, why did we wait so long? Construction started in November. We do want businesses that are eligible for the program to be able to demonstrate a 20% or greater revenue decline comparing pre-construction with during construction. So for example, if the construction started in November in front of your door, then you could compare November, December of 2023 and January of 2024. You could compare that pre-construction period with November, December of 2024 and January of 2025, as long as it's consecutive 90 days. So keep that in mind as well. Some of the other grant eligibility requirements that we have, this is a small business support program, and we want to target small businesses. So businesses must be earning between $30,000 and $5 million in annual gross revenue when we look at your 2024 revenue. That's the eligibility threshold. Businesses also must be operating within 350 feet of the center line of East Colfax. So generally that's about a half to a 3/4 of the block going on either side of Colfax. Again, we really want to prioritize the businesses that are feeling the greatest impact that are right along Colfax there. The program is also restricted to certain NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification System codes. These are codes established by the federal government. And for example, a retail establishment would have a NAICS code of 44 or 45, starting with 44 and 45. It's a 6-digit code for the most part. And in the retail sector, it would be starting with 44 or 45. The other eligible NAICS codes are 71 and 72. Does anybody here a 71 or 72? See, I'm testing you to see if you know your NAICS codes. 71 is gonna be like your gyms, your Pilates places, your, you know, those kind of entertainment venues and that sort of thing. 72 is your restaurants and your cafes. And then the final eligible NAICS code is 81. And that's what we consider, they call it anything, what's it called, Rachel? Anything not professional? Other professional. Like, what does that mean? But that's the government for you. But it's typically your hair salons, your barber shops, your auto care services, any of those personal care kind of services. When we get to the point of the grant round applications becoming available, our friends at the Colfax bid, Danon and Frank, will be available, as she mentioned, to help businesses complete the application. You know, they'll make sure that you're eligible for the program. They'll make sure that your annual gross revenue is within those limits, 30,000 to 5 million. And they'll also take a look at some financial documents you may have to make sure that you meet that 20% or greater revenue decline. And I want to reassure you, this is not a program where you have to call your accountant and pay your accountant to print out a profit and loss statement, or even send you a copy of your last year's tax return. You can use a sales report that you get off your cash register. If you're a restaurant or a cafe, you might be using Toast, or all kinds of mobile apps that businesses Square. Businesses use these kinds of apps on their phones and their tablets. So we're not looking for, you know, a fancy profit and loss statement. Sales reports that you run from your POS system are acceptable as well. And then there's also an opportunity with the program if you're interested in long-term assistance. We like to think that we don't want to just give you a fish for the day. We don't want to just give you a grant for the day. We want to be able to help you build capacity so you can withstand these kind of economic shocks in the future. So we have some long-term technical assistance, accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, HR, you know, human resource things, digital presence, and that sort of thing. And shucks, I just lost my train of thought. I was going to add something to that about the long-term assistance. At any rate, so that program is also available too. The grant amounts, if you're a business earning $100,000 or less, if you're between that $30,000 and $100,000, the grant is $7,500. And if you're a business earning over $100,000, the grant is $15,000. And it's intended to stabilize a business for a while and hopefully help you weather and survive the construction impact that you may experience. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a preview to next month's chat, we're actually going to walk through all of a lot of the resources that Dito provides. We're just calling it an unpacking session so that you can see just how many things we're trying to put out there. Again, I call us the spaghetti throwers. We're just trying to anticipate a lot of potential concerns that you might have. And that's why we have a different theme in each chat, just so that we can kind of run through a lot of different types of ideas that might spark ideas or get you to ask different types of questions. And then if we don't know the answer, then we are absolutely happy to connect you with someone who does. So yeah, that's theirs. We're gonna, any more questions? So yeah, if you go onto the business support website, there's a section on chats, and it also has all of the old resources that we created for that session that you can use at your will. And our information is attached to all of that as well. I know it can get confusing or annoying that there are several different teams working on this project. We all have our different missions, but we all regularly, weekly have conversations together to make sure that we're coordinating proactively about problems that you might be having. More questions? I have one more thing to chat about. Really, that metaphor gets old really fast. But I want to give an update, and we'll have more time for questions. And again, stay if you patron this wonderful place afterwards. But I want to talk
a little bit about, you may have heard about this campaign. We're rolling it out slowly, but now more systematically. The We Back the Facts campaign, which is an attempt to bring people who may not come to Colfax regularly, to get them to think and incentivize their coming to Colfax and specifically their businesses. And we're trying to work with businesses particularly to talk this up to your customers, because the incentive would then, if they want it, they would come and bring it back to your store. So this is my colleague Sam, and he's going to talk a little bit about it. I do want to just mention that a couple of these pieces of collateral are here for you if you would like them. We have table tents that you could put on tables or by your register that just explain how to play and how to participate in it. There aren't a lot of people doing it right now, so if you encourage your customers, they have a much higher chance of winning. It's a bi-weekly drawing, so it is infusing some funds back into Colfax, and then the doormat too, just to let people know. So Sam, do you want to just mention a couple things?
Absolutely. Hey everyone, my name's Sam, and I'm part of Ryan's team, and what Ryan is bringing me in to help out with is some of that public outreach and marketing around the We Back the Facts campaign. So Ryan mentioned we've got tabletop placards, and we also have doormats today. That's just like the start of some tools that we're going to keep rolling out to support the We Back the Facts campaign. So really this is just another tool, and again, maybe a drop in the bucket, but just another commitment that the project is making to try and support the local businesses, drive customers and patrons to these businesses, to your businesses. So we are bringing in more resources to try to keep this campaign, We Back the Facts, going and generate more interest. And as part of that, there may be opportunities for your businesses to also get involved. We want to create content that supports your businesses during construction. So look for more opportunities in the future, maybe as part of Chats on Colfax in the future, where we might do business profiles, capture content. But our ask right now is, like Ryan said, we're getting off the ground, so your customers have a really great chance of winning. The ask is simple: support local, put it on social media. We want to create that interest, and then our team will, if they're following the posting and tagging correctly, they have a chance to win Colfax cash to continue supporting the businesses. So just again, maybe part of that spaghetti, that we're throwing and seeing what works. But here we also have a sample social post here. Anything else you'd like to say on the?
Yeah, so one of the things we realize is that a lot of businesses don't have time or maybe the capacity to produce content. I mean, this is a phrase people are using: advertisement, communication with your customers, newsletters, those sorts of things, website, draft of new content. And so what we're also trying to do is work individually with businesses that are impacted directly by creating comms plans, helping you articulate your vision to more customers, gather customer information, what to do with it once you have it. Many people are savvy at that, but we also recognize that many people just don't have the time. So my team is actively on Colfax, working right now with about 4 or 5 different businesses to put those together. And then that's something also that the Mile High United Way offers in terms of tutorials and consulting support, and they're supporting that through a generous partnership with DIO. So again, these are all things that are out there that if you know, so going back to what Joanne was saying about the self-assessment, if you take that and you realize that maybe there are some pieces here that you are maybe not great at or maybe you really hate to do, right? There are people in this community who love this place that want to help you make that thing better or make it so you don't have to do it. So yeah, that's kind of the crux of comms support and the We Back the Facts. So this slide is just to show you, like, we are actively creating social media content for businesses, and if you would like to receive some of that, then great, we invite that conversation, absolutely. And then in that respect too, because we only have a few minutes left, some of those ideas I wanted to get at here is just to think about we are finding great success is happening when people are actively finding collaborators. So this project is in phases. Often it will be on one side of the street, and then when construction completes, it flips. And so we are literally suggesting to people to walk across the street, if you don't already have a relationship with them, if across the street is a place where you can relate to or with, and suggesting things like cross-promotional opportunities. If my store is being impacted, your store offers a 20% discount if you first shop across the street and then come over, okay, and get a sort of discount. It's a very kind of basic model, but it does work because it's a scratch and back situation. We also have guides. We've created a series of social media guides specifically created for construction impacts, and we have tailored that content to this place as best as we could. All of those are available on the business support website. We do have some handouts here, and one of them is a cross-promotion guide. And so if you do like to use your social media, here are some examples of great ways and easy ways to kind of get that ball rolling. So other ideas, you can, if you create like a tiny little space in your store for the store across the street and then provide that revenue to them because yours might be more accessible, then you're supporting them, and so that when construction comes to you, they'll take your merchandise and put it in their store and make sure you get that revenue back too. So there's lots of these ideas. We'd love to help generate some of them if you're interested. I'm not going to dwell on it because we've spent already an hour and a half together. More QR codes, always. But these are surveys, so you can ignore these. Unless I would really love to hear from you if you have thoughts about this chats, for example, how it went, how it could be different, and then the other one, and then also maybe, as was suggested earlier, potential avenues for future chats for how we can really connect project resources to the corridor itself. And then we'll get the date out for the next one. You can sign up and come. We'll let you know where it is and what kind of food we're going to be having. Okay, and I think that's it. So please stick around and have. Oh yes.
I'm Bill from My Life Treats. There are some examples of trees dried candy on that table there.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Thank you.